Hi, this is Tom Greer with NetbookScoop.com. We're here today to review the Dell Inspiron Mini 12. Now the Mini 12 is a nice netbook. It's larger than a typical netbook. It's got a 12.1-inch display screen. It's got 1280 by 800 resolution on the screen. It's got an Intel standard feature is the Intel Atom Z520 processor. This one happens to be upgraded to the Z530. 1 gigabyte of RAM is standard, and it's got a 40 gigabyte hard drive. Also 802.11bg Wi-Fi adapter in it, Bluetooth adapter, and a 3-cell battery. Again, ours has been customized, and it's got a 6-cell battery. One other customization that ours has is that it's got this glossy white finish instead of the standard black. The black is especially a fingerprint magnet. This is not as bad. Still gathers a few fingerprints, but certainly I like it a lot better than the glossy black. It's also available in the green and the pink, and our version has preloaded with Ubuntu Linux as opposed to the standard XP. Now in terms of design and quality, let me talk about the design and quality overall. It's got a classic styling to it, ultra thin. It's less than an inch thick. It's only 0.92 inches, which is really thin compared to an Acer Aspire 1, for example. If you look at the Acer Aspire 1, even though this is a very small netbook, it's significantly thicker. So, thank you. It's extremely lightweight. With a 6-cell battery, it's right around 3 pounds. If you want to get the 3-cell battery, that's only 2.72 pounds. Again, the glossy white finish is something that I really like. From the bottom perspective, it's got no access panels, you'll notice. And the access panel we normally look for in terms of getting RAM upgrade capabilities isn't required on the Mini 12 because the Z530 processor does not require or does not handle the addressing of anything more than 1 gigabyte of RAM. Okay, now if we move along to the display is as I mentioned before, one of the big features of the Inspiron Mini 12. As opposed to our typical netbook screens with 1024 by 600 finish, this one's got 800 rows, 1280 by 800 pixels. You can see much more, and finally with a 12-inch screen, you're able to actually have multiple documents open at the same time and be able to see them side by side. The display is glossy, but not too glossy. Dell's done a nice job of matching the glossiness and avoiding a lot of glare. Also has a good wide viewing angle and vivid colors as well. So really happy with the display on this. The webcam is a 1.3 megapixel webcam. It's built in and pretty standard these days. The keyboard is nice and roomy. The keys on here are bigger than typical netbook keys. And it's got an ample set of function keys on the top row, unlike the Inspiron Mini 9-inch version, which doesn't have the row of function keys. Great tactile response on the keyboard. I've just got a couple of things that disturb me with the keyboard. I happen to like the keyboards on the Samsung N120 better than this one, and let me show you why. Here's the N120 right here. And if you'll notice, the N120's got larger keys as well. In fact, even though the chassis is smaller, the case here is, the keys are bigger. My issue is this full-size shift key here as opposed to the one with the Dell, which is smaller, and it's got this up arrow right next to the shift key. And I find personally when I'm touch typing that I'm somewhere else in the document because I've pressed the up arrow instead of shift key, and that bothers me. Also, these little semi-full-size keys for comma, period, and slash as opposed to full-size keys. When you're typing a document and looking for those keys as part of word processing or even coding, it's difficult not to fat finger them. So those are my concerns with the keyboard on the Mini 12. A touchpad is a very nice touchpad, nice, big, and roomy. You can roam through the whole wide screen, the extra size screen with this touchpad, and the mouse buttons right and left are also in the right position where I like them, right below the touchpad. Speaker is uniquely positioned directly here above the keyboard. I personally like that. It's a whole lot better than having it in some of the strange places that other netbooks do, like underneath, where the sound comes out tinny. Sound quality is good here. My only concern is that no matter what I did, I just couldn't get it loud enough. Let's take a look at the ports. The ports on our left side, we've got our power port, we've got our VGA out, and 2 USB ports. On this side, we've got our 3-in-1 card reader. We've got our audio ports, our mic and our audio out, and our third USB port along with a 10100 LAN port. The front is empty and devoid of any LEDs. There is an LED power indicator right here on our hinge, but there isn't any indicator light for our wireless, our Wi-Fi, for Bluetooth, or for our hard drive. Performance on the Dell Inspiron Mini 12 with the Z530 processor I found to be typical for a netbook. It was a snappy response. I didn't perceive any difference between the typical N270 1.6 gigahertz processor and the Z530 processor in this one. One thing I did notice though was anytime the hard drive needed to be accessed, it was just slower, just a little bit in terms of perception slower than a typical SATA hard drive that you'd find in the other netbooks, the 160 gigabyte hard drives, for example. Battery life was wonderful. I've gotten over 5 hours of real-world use every time I've let it run down to when the battery expires, which is long enough for a coast-to-coast airplane flight, and for me, that's what I need. The only things I don't particularly like, I found that were a little bit disappointing in the Dell Inspiron Mini 12 are that the keyboard layout I've noticed before, it's lower than normal hard drive and the speaker volume, but there's a lot to love in this little netbook. The screen for a netbook is just so big and such just a pleasure to use. The ultra thinness of it was a real issue for me. I wanted to make sure I had an ultra thin one because I don't like it occupying a lot of space in my briefcase, and it's really lightweight. And the great battery life are all things that I find that are key points for me when I'm choosing a netbook. Now, before we wrap up our video, I want to compare it to several other netbooks. Let's take a look at the Aspire 1 that we looked at before. This is a 9-inch Aspire 1, and you can see the size difference is quite dramatic in terms of width and also in terms of depth of the netbook. If we compare it to an MSI Wind U100, here's the U100. U100 also, we've got some width. Now this is a 10-inch display, so again, we've got some difference here on both sides. And the N110 that we looked at a little earlier, let's compare that in terms of size overall. Again, we've got the N110, I'm sorry, this is an N120, excuse me. And the N120 has got the width a little bit here and also a little bit more in depth. So if I stack them all up so that we can compare the size difference of them all, you can see it here, and here it is from the side. Once again, this is Tom Greer, netbookscoop.com. Thank you for watching. Our next video that we're going to publish, of course, is an in-depth review of the N120, the new Samsung netbook. So stay tuned. Thank you.